Head coach Igor Tudor says he's 100% certain that they'll avoid Premier League relegation. The Croatian's been brought in until the end of the season with Spurs just 5 points clear of the drop zone with 12 games still to play. The former Juventus boss starts his reign with Sunday's North London derby against league leaders Arsenal.
We speak from day first, so we have this 3-4 session. From day first I go immediately very concrete things because there is no time to lose. Even with choosing the exercise, I need to choose the exercise for that in a short period they can do the improvement. Not losing too much time on basic principles. Maybe sometimes I do. So what I said is it's not, of course, possible in short trainings to do big changes, of course, but something we need to see. And I'm sure that we will see something. I saw the players very available, very motivated to turn on the things, So that's nice starts.
Delighted to say talkSPORT's Sonny Snelling is with us, Tottenham man. How are you feeling about this derby? Because I'd imagine if this was 3 or 4 weeks ago, you'd be feeling doom and gloom, right? But the fact that you've got a new manager, that he talks a good game, he's one of football's legitimate hard men.
Yeah.
You're probably feeling a little bit better about it now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel quite calm considering I feel like it's a strange game. It's like could be the best game for him to come into and also the worst game because obviously there is a chance that we could get absolutely annihilated because of our injury crisis is still so bad. But obviously I've seen his Juventus side, I've seen his Marseille and Lazio side, done a bit of research. I feel like this is the guy we sort of need at Spurs at the moment. Like after watching a lot of Thomas Frank, absolute dire football against, Arsenal early in the season against Kwaku, your Chelsea side, it was just turning up to these big games and either like settling, trying to play for a draw, which he did against Arsenal and we lost 4-1. And it's just not good enough. We need a bit of fight, a bit of spirit. And I think, from what I've heard so far from Igor Tudor, obviously you can only take what he says at the moment at face value. But I'm hoping it's going to, kick these Spurs players up the backside. They really do need it because of the situation we're in.
How worried are you of the threat of relegation? Of course, rival fans love the idea of Spurs going down. But you are genuinely in a relegation battle. West Ham have got Bournemouth at home this weekend. I think West Ham win that game. You guys are lucky that United nicked a draw against West Ham. Otherwise, the gap would be 3 points. And you haven't won a game in the league in 2026.
Yeah.
How worried are you that Spurs could actually go down this season?
I mean, I'm very worried. I don't think any team is too big to go down. We've seen Newcastle happen to West Ham before as well. I think we had the luxury last year that there were 3 worse sides. This year, obviously, I think Wolves look like they're guaranteed to go down, even though they've been putting up a fight in recent weeks. Burnley, it's that last spot. But, even Nottingham Forest, I was quite adamant that maybe they'll be the one to replace West Ham. But after watching them last night against Fenerbahce, there's, a possibility that they could have a new lease of life in them. You've got, Brighton could get pulled into it, Palace, us if we carry on our poor form. So, yeah, of course I'm worried. I just think the thing, I think it's happened too late, this appointment, really, because I think Thomas Frank, he could have gone after Bournemouth, he could have gone after West Ham, he could have gone after Arsenal or Chelsea. Like, the way we were lining up in those games and just no imagination, no creation, it was really, really bad. But, yeah, I like, even the staff. I was going to ask you, Kwaku, Bruno Saltor has been brought in as his assistant manager. Is that a good appointment, do you reckon, coming in, or from a Chelsea point of view?
He actually sat in the dugout in the hot seat for one game as Chelsea caretaker manager. Yeah, it's a decent enough appointment, but right now it's about Igor Tudor and what he can do and how he can galvanise this side. And Harry mentioned it earlier on in the show in terms of what he will bring, and he can maybe put out those fires at Spurs, and that's what you need right now. Thomas Frank couldn't do the job. The players seemed like they were checked out and weren't buying into the message. So, yeah, it's all about what Igor Tudor can get out of these players, because you say teams, there's no team that's too good to go down, but this is a Spurs side that won the Europa League last season. And so I think that the prospect of relegation seems unthinkable to me.
Yeah, I don't see Tottenham going down, honestly. Even under Thomas Frank, I don't think you were going down. It was one of those ones where, because the proximity between where you guys are positioned and the relegation's only so small, people are going to say it, and people are going to say, well, mathematically it could happen. Yeah. But I didn't ever really feel like that was a possibility. As a Spurs man, how real did you think that the possibility of relegation ever really was? Because I'm super confident now that with Igor Tudor, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more Thomas Frank's removal than it is the new guy coming in. But was it a real fear for you, like a genuine, legitimate concern?
Yeah, I mean, even last year there was occasional weeks where we went past and thought.
Not according to Big Ange though. He was super confident.
It was getting 22 losses in the Premier League again. Like the form isn't good enough. It's just the performances. I mean, stuff has come out since Thomas Frank's sacking about him being obsessed with Arsenal, talking about Arsenal all the time. I mean, you just can't do that as a Spurs manager, and just changing last minute. This is what I didn't like. We thought he was going to come in, and my prediction was that I thought we'd finish probably about 8th, which I thought would be respectable because I'm not an idiot when I think I know we won the Europa League, but we still finished 17th. We had to build on from that, and it wasn't going to be top 4 back straight again. But even apparently, I was talking to we had Dean Scoggins from The Sun on this week's episode of Inside Spurs, and apparently he'd set up all week in a back 4 or back 3, and then last minute watch a clip of Man City and go, right, actually we're changing this, not back 4, we're going back 3, and all the players are like, well, what's going on? With Igor Tudor, what you see is what you get. He's going to be high intensity. He's going to be free at the back. I mean, he's probably, the fact that we have probably got all these injuries makes his job maybe easier. He's got no selection issues. He's got to go with what he's literally got in front of him. So I'm confident that he's like a bit like a modern Big Sam, but on the European scale. He can come in. He can come in, firefight. I mean, his win percentages are 50 plus for most of the clubs that he's come into. And we like to go to Serie A in this time of year and pick up transfers and players. So let's see if we can get a manager to do a job.
Brilliant stuff. Let's hear from the Arsenal point of view on things. Mikel Arteta has been speaking earlier today. He was clearly upset with the draw in midweek. And here's what he had to say when addressing the media earlier on this afternoon.
What I've seen is a tremendous reaction again, and I'm not surprised at all. I mean, when you lose points, also in the last kick of the game again, in a very unpredictable manner, I would say, because to predict somebody with a 0.2 expected goals probably and one shot to concede an equalizer the manner that we did it is nobody can really understand that. But this is football, and that's the beauty of it. And that was a chapter. So we have a long season. Chapter 27 says, okay, we draw against Wolves in this manner. What I'm very interested is about the next one, is what we are made of. Okay, what do we do about this, and how we write our own destiny from here and going forward, and that's it. And you have to react to that because life moves on. The result has to stay unfortunate as it was. There is nothing else we can do. What we can do is a lot. Is what's going to happen next.
I'm not naive enough to think that what Mikel Arteta says in front of the media is what he says in the changing room, right? They would have got an absolute blasting on Wednesday night. There's no question about that, right? He's an intense guy. We've all seen it. We've all seen the Amazon documentary, and that was then, let alone now when you're vying for a Premier League title. But one of the things that, I get he wants to be this kind of statesman-like figure now and try and talk the situation down, bring a calmness to the room and stuff after that, where it could have got emotional after the game. I'd imagine that there was players having a pop at each other. I'd imagine that it got a little bit tense. But then when he throws out stuff like, oh, but, we conceded a goal on an incident that was a 0.27 XG or whatever it was.
Very Thomas Frank language.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And I said it after the game on Wednesday night. I don't want to hear people coming out and going, we're hurting, or, this was not... I don't want to hear it. I want to see you go and put it right the following week. I know you've got to do these interviews, the press conferences. You're obliged to do them, right? But sometimes I think as fans, we'd all just rather hear him say, look, it was an unacceptable goal to concede. We have to make sure that it doesn't do us damage. We have to get back on track. But we're under no illusions. That was a poor display. It was a poor performance. Because to say that is to completely ignore the fact that once again, Arsenal were nowhere near ruthless enough in the attacking third, didn't put the game to bed when they should have. And again, Arsenal are left... relying on chance too much because the margins are so small. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and for a manager that we've seen is so process-driven, trust the process has almost become Arsenal's trademark. He, post-match or in press conferences, he does often talk about outcomes more than anything. Like if you think about the Brentford game, he talks specifically about that Martinelli missed chance. The game against Wolves, he's talking about the XG. With Arteta, it's all been about the process, and it's not about the outcomes. It's about doing the right things to get the results. And unfortunately, Arsenal aren't doing the right things to get the results. So post-match, I can understand why Arsenal fans like Harry don't want to hear about a Martinelli missed chance or the fact that Wolves scored from 0.2 XG. Arsenal should be doing a lot more in games to get those results. And again, similar to Harry, he's going to be saying a different thing to the players, but the fans can only go off of what you tell the media, and the messaging there just didn't seem quite right. But I feel like the media's talking about Arsenal like the sky is falling. Arsenal is still top of the Premier League. Arsenal could still potentially win the quadruple. Arsenal are the best team in this country still. I don't trust Man City. So I think there's been a lot made of the Wolves game, rightly so. Arsenal are really poor and Wolves are one of the worst teams in Premier League history. But this title race is going to go down to the wire. This is a title race that's going to have so many twists and turns. Even the game against Spurs on the weekend, if Arsenal don't get a positive result, that doesn't mean the title is done. This is a City team that's shown us they are very fallible. They were 2-0 up against your mob and drew that game. And I thought the title could be done there. And so there's still so much to go, but I feel like the collective feeling around Arsenal is overwhelmingly negative, which must boost you as a Spurs fan.
Yeah, it's just a strange fixture because I think Martinelli's first Spurs game was against Arsenal. So it's weird because it's like, could it actually, ignite Arsenal to turn up and think like, this is a massive game, we need to, go into this and get all 3 points. But then you're going into an unknown entity. You're going into a manager that, you're not sure about in this league. And I think with Spurs, it's like, our Premier League relegation isn't set on this game. But I'll tell you what, it would put us in the right direction if we got a result from it. I think it's going to be... I heard Perry Grove say this is the biggest North London derby since the FA Cup semi in the 90s. And I'm like...
I can't buy into that.
I think... We say it every year. I remember... But do you know what I'd be doing? If I was Igor Tudor, I'd sit him down, I'd show him... And obviously he must be chummy with Antonio Conte. I'd put that 3-0 Arsenal win when Holding got sent off and be like, this is what you got to do. Because the thing is... This is such a good game for us because it's at home where we've been absolutely, the atmosphere has been awful because we haven't wanted to get behind the team because there's been nothing to really get off your seat about. Now, this is how you do it. This is how you get the 12th man back on side. You go out there, you put in a performance, and you get out an Arsenal side who are vulnerable. Talking about Mikel Arteta there, you mentioned the Amazon All or Nothing. That was the year where we beat you to top 4 from that game I've just mentioned. So our recent record against you has just not been good enough. It's been absolutely abysmal. We've just, rolled over and had our bellies tickled, basically. But we need to just go into this and show intensity and fight. And I've not seen that. I think I've seen that in one game this season, and that was against City at the Etihad. And I've not seen it since. But, we're in the Tudor era now.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of edge about him, like in a way that you wouldn't have caught him walking around with an Arsenal cup before kickoff.
He would have crushed it in his hand.
Exactly, crushed it in his hand. Exactly. It's going to be an interesting game. Let's get some quick fire predictions on this one. Kwaku as the neutral. I say neutral because you hate us both equally.
I think he hates us more.
No,
go on, let's get your prediction.
Really?
Yeah. Hate Arsenal more. Desmond, I'm going for 2-2 in this one.
2-2, Sonny.
Yeah.
My head says win, my heart says draw. I'm going to go with 2-1 win Spurs.
I'm going to go Spurs 1, Arsenal 3. I think Arsenal are going to click. I think they're going to shut a lot of people up, and I think they're going to get themselves back on track.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not because I'm arrogant or anything like that, it's because this Arsenal team is too good, in my opinion, for this run to continue. And sometimes things have to hit rock bottom before you get that sort of bounce back. And I really do feel like the Wolves game, although we've suffered defeat, so it wasn't the worst result we've had all season, the fact that it was Wolves, the fact that it was midweek standalone game, it just feels like that was kind of maybe a wake-up call for this team. I think Odegaard will be back. I think Havertz will be back as well, which is massive for Arsenal. It looks like Saka's okay. Trossard's fine as well. So I think Arsenal will do the business. But let's see. It's a North London derby.
What do we know?
Yeah, what do we know? Sonny, thank you very, very much for joining us. You're listening to the talkSPORT 2 Social with William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org. Next up, we're going to do Twitter Corner. Should Arsenal part ways with Mikel Arteta if they finish the season trophyless?
The Social on talkSPORT 2 with official betting partner William